Today we've had a national tragedy.
An indescribable scene of death and destruction.
And we're told that they were zealots fueled by religious fervor. And if you live to be 1,000 years old, will that make any sense to you? Will that make any goddamn sense?
The World Trade Center construction project was developed by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. In March 1965, the Port Authority began acquiring property at the World Trade Center site. Demolition soon began on March 12, 1966, to clear the site for the World Trade Center. On August 5, 1966, groundbreaking began, marking the beginning of the construction on the World Trade Center. Construction work began on the North Tower in August 1968, with construction beginning on the South Tower by January 1969. In January 1967, $74 million in contracts were awarded to the steel companies for the project. As construction was developing more and more, on March 1970, an explosion injured 6 workers when a truck hit a propane tank. 60 workers were killed in the construction accident while the building was being built. Soon enough, the topping out ceremony of the first tower, the North Tower, took place on December 23, 1970. The second ceremony of the South Tower occurred later on July 19, 1971.
Took my breath away.
In New York, New York, on Friday, February 26, 1993, the World Trade Center was targeted. A truck bomb was set off below the North Tower. It was supposed to knock the North Tower into the South Tower in order to bring down both towers with the intention of killing thousands of people. This failed, but a result of the bomb was 6 deaths and over 1,000 injuries.
We're changing day to day, but tell me, why do the children play?
Flight 93 was a United Airlines flight that was hijacked on September 11, 2001 by 4 al-Qaeda terrorists. There were 33 other passengers along with 7 staff members on this flight. The plane flew out of New York International Airport in New Jersey, and its destination was San Francisco.
After the hijackers took control of the plane, several passengers and flight attendants were able to make telephone calls from the seatback phones and learned that the attacks had been made on the World Trade Center in New York and the Pentagon in Virginia. Some of the passengers then made an attempt to regain control of the aircraft. During the attempt, however, the plane crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
Then he helped lead the charge to the front of the plane with the words, "Let's roll." With their selfless act, the men and women who stormed the cockpit lived out the words, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." And with their brave decision, they launched the first counteroffensive of the war on terror. Americans are alive today because the passengers and crew of Flight 93 chose to act, and our nation will be forever grateful.
At 8:46 a.m., hijacked American Airlines Flight 11 was flown into the World Trade Center's North Tower, instantly killing hundreds on the 93rd through the 99th floor. This was the first attack of September 11th, 2001.
The first plane flew right over the top of us, and we heard the impact. Really see it had like sunshades down over the windows, so you couldn't really see, but we could tell something happened. So I walked over and you could see the outline of where the plane hit the first tower. And at first we just thought it was an accident. We just thought, we're sitting there looking around and you could see kind of LaGuardia Airport off in the distance. We kind of thought maybe this guy was just somehow either had a heart attack or whatever, if it was just an accident. And we're sitting there kind of deciding what happened and looking at it and everything else. And before long, you could see the United plane out in the distance. and you kind of saw it turning. And we're thinking, okay, yeah, see, there's some kind of flight line to get into LaGuardia, and it kind of disappeared behind the towers. And then we saw it come out on the other side of the towers and kept turning back toward the towers, coming towards us. And it's probably about 3 or 4 seconds before it hit that you kind of realized that it was intentional.
Pictures and video of the attacks on the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001 struck fear, grief, and sadness into the hearts of every American. However, of the horrifying photos, none are more distressing and shocking than the pictures taken of people forced to jump to their death 1,700 feet below.
The thing that kind of stays with me and still stays with me now is seeing people jumping out of the building.
Were running their hair on fire. People were jumping out of the World Trade Center. Jumping out because they don't know what to do.
Standing 80, 90, 100 stories up in the air and realizing that the best way to get out of it is to jump out. So, seeing people fall and hearing it was like rain, like an awning between the two towers, and every once in a while you'd hear a piece of debris or one of the people hit that, made a really weird sound.
The famous photo of the falling man has struck the hearts of Americans, despite the uncertainty of the identity of the man, who is speculated to be Jonathan Briley, an audio technician for a restaurant on the 106th floor of the North Tower, and a husband and father.
Flight 175 was the second plane that hit the South Tower of the World Trade Center at 9:03 a.m. The flight consisted of 56 people, including the 5 hijackers. The aircraft involved was scheduled morning transcontinental service from Logan International Airport in Boston, Massachusetts, to Los Angeles International Airport in Los Angeles, California. The flight of 175 was the only impact seen live on television around the world as it happened.
All the chemicals inside I wanna feel. Don't tell me if I'm dying, 'cause I don't wanna know.
The impact caused the South Tower to collapse at 9:59 a.m. after burning for a total of 56 minutes.
We're looking at oil, we're looking at financial center. 2 us, 2 broken windows. Oh God!
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America. None of us will ever forget this day. Yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
High up above or down below, when you're too low. if you never try, you'll never know just what you were.